Yo, what's up guys? You got PokeaimMD here with, I guess a moveset video of sorts, but also a discussion about Mega Mawile, which will be released really soon in Sun and Moon. I want to talk a little bit about it. I want to talk about a few updated sets that I think that it will have this generation compared to the last. And obviously I also want to know your thoughts on Mega Mawile being introduced in Sun and Moon. If you guys didn't know, I think probably by the end of this week or early next week, we should be getting Mega Mawile and Mega Beedrill. So the Beedrill and the Mawile for their Megas, and I'm really excited. I think both of them, well, more so Beedrill, really appreciates the new buff to Megas that they get the auto speed boost, but Mega Mawile is a ridiculous wall breaker, and I do apologize if I'm talking a little bit low. It's late at night. Let me just adjust my mic a little bit. It is late, and I don't want to wake too many people up since I'm still at my home. I'm not in my apartment right now. Mawile is ridiculous, being Steel and Fairy. That grants it immunities to Poison. Obviously, having that immunity to Dragon, Steel getting rid of one of Mawile's weaknesses to Poison, or Fairy type's weakness to Poison. Only having two weaknesses being Ground and Fire, and just resisting so much. So Mawile is just a great, solid Pokemon in its own self. And it's ridiculous because this Pokemon does have access to huge power. Huge power doubles its attack stat. So this Pokemon's attack is doubled. So already upon Mega Evolving, Mawile gets base 105 attack. So this is double. This boy is strong as hell. Now, prior to actually becoming Mega Mawile, it does have some good abilities as well. Intimidate is really nice. Obviously neutralizing your opponent's attack, and Hypercut is really cool for Pokemon, like probably one of the main switch-ins for this generation, or any generation wherever Mawile was allowed, which will be Landorus, Therian. Getting rid, or at least blocking the Intimidate the turn that Landorus comes in, and hitting with a full power play off or something like that is really cool. And Shield Force is also really nice, but that's on regular Mawile. We're not going to be talking about that because we're talking about Mega Mawile. Now, the first set we have is Swords Dance Thunder Punch. Now, also, by the way, this will be in the playlist for where I talk about a bunch of Pokemon. I encourage you to check out that playlist. It is linked down below. Also, feel free to follow me on Twitch and Twitter. Now, I think that this set is called SD Thunder Punch because I believe Thunder Punch is so... It's definitely worth it in this generation, and with the introduction of Toxapex, with the introduction of Celesteela, Tapu Fini, Thunder Punch has such a huge role. I'm going to talk about it a little bit before I show you a bunch of calcs, because I calced a lot with Mawile, so I'll talk about a little bit. So the set is Swords Dance, Sucker Punch, or Play Rough, Thunder Punch, Iron Head, or Play Rough. Now, Thunder Punch, I believe, deserves its own role for the aforementioned reasons. Toxapex is probably the best Mawile switch-in there is ever, outside of like Heatran, and even Heatran doesn't appreciate knockoff or focus punch. As you guys do see, I have sub punch there, but Toxapex can shrug off Play Rough, can shrug off Iron Head, can haze, can recover, can potentially Scald Burn. So I believe that Thunder Punch is definitely necessary, especially in this generation, just being able to get through and power through Toxapex, power through Tapu Fini, power through Celesteela, power through Skarmory. Now, Sucker Punch, you might be saying, well, why would you run Sucker Punch when there's Pokemon like Tapu Lele who make the field all weird, and you can't use that priority? It's still extremely strong and definitely viable. Play Rough hits incredibly hard at +2, being able to destroy Pokemon like physically defensive at Powdon. And then of course Iron Head is your Steel Stab, being able to deal with all the Tapus. Tapu Koko can't switch in, Tapu Fini, Tapu Bulu, Tapu Lele, or 2-hit KO'd or O-Code. The EV spread we have is actually just max attack, 92 speed. I gave it just enough speed for Celesteela, as well as Pokemon like Clefable, though Clefable is more so in UU now than it is in OU, but the rest was put into HP, and this HP actually allows you to take Psychics and Moonblast from Scarf Tapu Lele. So I'm just going to go over to the calcs, that way you guys know why we have this, or why I thought Sucker Punch was definitely viable. So the first calcs we have, I have a bunch of calcs. I actually organized them too. I feel pretty proud about myself. Anyway, going on. The Sucker Punch calcs, one of the main reasons that I think Sucker Punch is extremely useful is because at +2, Sucker Punch OHKOs Pheromosa 100%. It does 108 to, sorry, we're on Paceman. Shout out to Paceman.com. We're on, they're not sponsoring me or anything. I will tell you if they're sponsoring me. That'd be really cool. I'd be sponsored by a Pastebin site. Anyway, +2 adamant, huge power. Sucker Punch does 108 to 128%. So Pheromosa, one of the biggest threats, gone. Which is one of I think that's a big reason for having Sucker Punch, which is why it's slash next to Play Rough. Another main reason why I don't have Play Rough actually as a main is because Iron Head is just so good. If you actually look at the OU tier, Iron Head hits everything for neutral outside of, I mean, with Thunder Punch allows you to hit your waters, right? So Greninja's not switching in. Gyarados, which you would otherwise Play Rough, is not coming in. It even does more to Heatran, whereas Iron Head still allows you to hit Pokemon such as Magearna. You're still destroying Pokemon like Latios, Mimikyu. Play Rough is better like for hitting Pokemon like Rotom as well, but it really is up to you. Play Rough also hits Pokemon like Zapdos, so it's up to you. The last set, Iron Head gives you that reliable hit versus Pokemon that are obviously weak to steel, so fairy types, whereas Play Rough gives you that immediate damage, and can also OHKO Zapdos at +2. So I do think that Thunder Punch, or Sucker Punch, excuse me, is worth noting though. As you can see right here, +2, Sucker Punch does 69 to 82% to Ash Greninja. So that's a resisted mon. So after Stealth Rock, Spike goes down, or 2 turns of Stealth Rock, it'll go down. Though, of course, watch out for Water Shuriken. Water Shuriken does not OHKO you from specs. It does not OHKO you. Mega Metagross, which is one of the best mons right now in the tier. Speaking of which, we have like some of the 3 best mons in the tier right now. Mega Metagross takes 67 to 79% from neutral. From neutral Sucker Punch. Sorry about that, just hit my charger. From neutral Sucker Punch, Mega Metagross takes 67 to 79%, and I actually have the Play Rough calc, which does 32 to 38%. So absolute minimum damage, which would be adding 67 plus 32, is 99% to Mega Metagross. So with absolute minimum damage, you do 99% with Play Rough into Sucker Punch to Mega Metagross, which means if rocks are up, you 100% KO it, or if you get, any average roll that is not absolute min, literally absolute min, you can knock out Metagross. Even if you do 68 instead of 69, or excuse me, well, instead of 67, you knock it out. So that's just to show you how strong Sucker Punch is. And +2, Sucker Punch does knock out Volcarona from full. It does 131 to 154%. So just to show you how strong it is. Now to show you some Thunder Punch calcs. Because again, I think Thunder Punch is definitely worth noting. +2, adamant, huge power, Mawile's Thunder Punch to physically defensive Toxapex, max defense, max HP, defensive nature, does 107 to 127%. It's also a guaranteed, or after rocks is 100% 2-hit KO on Toxapex, but it 2-hit KOs Toxapex most of the time just with Thunder Punch, without even boosting, obviously. And +2 Thunder Punch, actually it does 2-hit KO Toxapex always. With Thunder Punch, this is obviously a reason right here, 107 to 127%. So Toxapex goes down. This is physically defensive Celesteela, which is not even run. Special defensive is ran because of Tapu Lele and Pokemon like that. But physically defensive, max defense, max HP, +2 Thunder Punch, 109 to 129%. This is Thunder Punch unboosted versus max HP Celesteela, which would otherwise be Spadef Celesteela. It does 75% to 89%. So Mawile is a wall breaker. It is breaking through your opponent. And just I showed you an Iron Head calc as well versus a max HP Celesteela, which does 30%. So most of the time, after leftovers, or if rocks are up, you're always knocking it out with Iron Head into Thunder Punch. After leftovers, most of the time you're knocking it out with Thunder Punch into Iron Head. And then just to show you versus physically defensive Skarmory, neutral Thunder Punch does 52 to 62%, so that's a 99% chance to 2-hit KO after leftovers. Recovery, of course, Skarmory can't really do anything to you, maybe counter you, but it can't counter you if it's coming in on a Thunder Punch. And it can roost, but if you roost, you SD up on it, or you can run a little bit more speed for Skarmory. And then to show you the Scarf Tapu Lele calcs right here, which is why I have 164 HP. Scarf Tapu Lele Psychic does 41 to 48%. That's a guaranteed 3-hit KO. And then Moonblast does 28 to 34%. So it's a 1.1% chance to 3-hit KO. It's almost a 4-hit KO on Mawile. Of course, you can change your spread a little bit. Obviously, Psychic has a better chance to do more damage to you. But what you can do with Mawile is... this is stop. What you can do with Mawile is run a bit of more speed to be able to outspeed something like Skarmory. That way you always 2-hit KO them. Or even just run max speed on Mawile. But this is just using EVs if you need them. Just have the added bulk. This is +1 Play Rough versus defensive landers, max defense, max HP, and I say +1 because obviously Intimidate, it does 84 to 99%, so that's +1 doing 84 to 99%. Obviously, if you have like Hyper Cutter and you SD, and then they go landers, and you do Mega Evolve on the turn, they go landers, you can knock it out. But yeah, that's just to show you how strong Mawile is. It's just straight up wall breaker. It pairs so well in the meta. The thing about Mawile is like it doesn't even need good partners. I actually didn't even end up putting partners on them, but some great partners are obviously Lander Starion form, being able to get in the U-turn, spike support, has U-turn, being able to get in Mawile. Mawile is just one of those Pokemon that you can just toss on a team and it'll just wall break for you. It'll actually just wall break. But Landers is probably one of the best, if not the best, Pokemon to pair with it. Not only does it grant it that immunity to ground, which is something that Mawile is weak to, it gives you rocks, gives you U-turn momentum, a slow U-turn into Mawile. And the great thing about this is Landers also appreciates Mawile because what's a very common Landers switching? Skarmory, Tapu Fini, both of which Mawile does not care about at all. Thunder Punch is an easy 2-hit KO on Tapu Fini. Max defense, max HP Tapu Fini, which is not even ran. They run speed. They run. They don't usually run max defense. Play Rough can also 2-hit KO max defensive Tapu Fini. Now, next up we have 4 attacks, and this is just a full-on non-attacking or non-setup set. And the first move is either Iron Head or Fire Fang. Now, Fire Fang is actually noted because if you can see right here, Fire Fang, just max attack Fire Fang to defensive Ferrothorn, standard defensive Ferrothorn, does 102% minimum. So it OHKOs Ferrothorn, it also OHKOs Mega Scizor. So that's just 2 Pokemon. Also being able to hit Pokemon like Celesteela and Skarmory. So it's noted there next to Iron Head, and I noted it next to Iron Head because this also allows you to hit Pokemon like Magearna, which otherwise Iron Head was your main coverage for, but Fire Fang allows it to hit them for super effective, as well as Magnezone. And Play Rough is here as its own standalone set. I think on an unboosted set, Play Rough is really nice, just being able to do massive damage to Pokemon like defensive landers, to Hippowdon coming in, pretty much any wall coming in. Thunder Punch, I still note it as its own because I think in this metagame specifically, I believe Thunder Punch is so viable. I already mentioned Toxapex, Skarmory, Celesteela, Tapu Fini. It's just, I think it's just so viable and it deserves its own standalone move on any set. And then I have Sucker Punch, but Sucker Punch can also be slashed with like Iron Head or Fire Fang or Play Rough. But I still think Sucker Punch is really nice. Being able to pick off a Latios or Thundurus or just a weakened adversary, doesn't matter what you're going on. I just have the standard spread. But again, you can run max speed. You can even run Jolly max speed if you want to be able to outspeed Tapu Fini that are not running max speed, or non-218 speed Landorus, or defensive Rotom even, and being able to 2-hit KO them with Play Rough. But that's something. Sub Punch is another set that we do have. Sub Punch is really cool because it allows it to get rid of one of the counters, or quote unquote, one of the best checks to a Mawile, which would be something like Heat Ran, and even Heat Ran has to beware because if it's offensive Heat Ran plus 2 Sucker Punch is knocking that thing out. But Sub Focus Punch is really cool, being able to sub up. Also having Intimidate prior to Mega Evolving, usually on most of the sets, that's what I'll be running. But Focus Punch allows you to deal with Steel types with this EV spread as well. Toxapex's Scald does not break your sub ever unless it's a crit, and Ferrothorn's Gyro Ball does not break your sub as well. So you can sub up on those. You can OHKO Ferrothorn, Focus Punch, and you sub up on the Leech Seed, right? And then they Gyro Ball you, you Focus Punch them, they die. You sub up on the Scald, and then you Thunder Punch 2-hit KO Toxapex. I put Thunder Punch just for that reason because Toxapex does not break your sub, but Play Rough can also be there, and I just slash Iron Head and Play Rough as well as Sucker Punch. It really just depends on you if you want that priority. That way you can end up behind a sub. Maybe their way of beating your Mawile behind a sub is like a weakened Lander, so you want to knock them out with Sucker Punch before then, or like Metagross coming in, all being able to hit them. But it's just using it because of the fact that it has Intimidate and the fact that you get up subs versus a lot of weaker Pokemon. Mawile is always forcing switches. This one's a monster. It's hard to switch into this monster. Though I do think 4 attacks or SD T-Punch is better. And again, don't take my EV spreads to heart, man. Use whatever you want. You can use max speed. You can use Adamant max speed. You can use Jolly. Figure out what you want to use. Now, a few other options that I think are great on Mawile, but I didn't make any sets on them, but I will be testing even more. when I'm able to. Knockoff is great, obviously getting rid of your opponent's item, hitting Heat Ran pretty hard. It was better in the Aegislash meta back in 6th Gen. When Aegislash was around and Mawile was also around, Knockoff was able to decimate them. Pain Split's really cool, but like sub Pain Split, especially because Mawile has great resistances and is pretty bulky on the defensive side and the special defense side. It just has low HP, so Pain Split's really cool, especially because it has low HP, because you're getting a lot from your opponent. Ice Punch is cool. You know, being able to OHKO Landorus despite Intimidate, doesn't care about Landorus at all. But I think that any of the other moves is really tough to drop a move for Ice Punch. And then Rock Slide's cool for Volcarona, Zard Y, though both of which don't take Play Rough into Sucker Punch. Offensive Volcarona, offensive Zard Y die to Play Rough into Sucker Punch. So those Pokemon I have to watch out, but Rock Slide's cool for those. But outside of that, I don't know how many other options Mawile has. I mean, it has obviously some great moves over here, but I would never use Power Up Punch when I could use Swords Dance. I wouldn't really use a special set or even mixed, even because it has base 55 special attack. Maybe on like a weaker Sheer Force regular Mawile, but yeah, Landorus is probably one of the best partners. You don't want Fire Resist, answers to Water, but it's just a great Pokemon, and I really cannot wait to use this Wall Breaker. But I do want to know your thoughts on Mawile. You can leave them down below. In any case, unless I'm recording this at night, so unless they actually release Mawile tomorrow and Showdown lets me use it, there shouldn't be a live on this, but there will be one in the near future. But again, feel free to leave your thoughts, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, friends.